At the Memorial Foundation, we support from the beginning of life, from the time a child is born, all the way through all of the health care that they may need to the end of life, and supporting those families and filling the gaps in health care. And we truly couldn't do it without the community. Someone who was in our community 50 years ago, their gifts are still impacting lives, not only changing lives, but saving lives. The name that comes to mind first is Stan Dumas. He really set the tone by leaving a legacy, leaving a will that supported children's health. The man who worked with Stan was Bruce Heiser, one of our founding Memorial Foundation board members. And he tells a wonderful story about Stan and how he came to support children's health in our community.
Planning for the future for your assets is something that people don't think about. But in Stan Dumas's case, he was 80 years old and he hadn't given it any thought. Stan, born in this house and died in the other house right next to it in about 1980, 81 or so. He was in my office and he was explaining to me what his 15-year plans were for his orchard. And at the time he was pushing 80 years old. The farm didn't really make a whole lot of money. He didn't maintain a lot of cash in his account. He traded securities for fun. He actually didn't know how much money he had. When it went over one big number, I told him, he didn't believe me. Eventually, he had a mild stroke. I became his guardian. I said, well, Stan, do you have a will? And he said, oh, I don't have a will. He said, I don't have anybody to leave any money to. And I said, well, you know, if you pass away and there's no relatives at all anywhere, this money might be directed by the state of Washington. Who knows, they could sell it off for condos or something. And he said, well, I don't want that to happen. Stan called me up and told me that he's going to be leaving money to a children's hospital. When he passed away, he left percentages to different organizations, which was a percentage account went to Memorial Hospital's Foundation for the Neonatal Clinic. At the time that Stan Dumas passed away, Rick Linaway was the CEO of the hospital. I went over and met him and I was in his office and I had this check and I said, if you form a foundation with this check, I'd like to be on the board. So I handed him this check and he looked at it, he says, well, you're on the board. We started out in a little building on Tieton. Now we're in a building about 5 times that large, but the creation of Children's Village and Cottage in the Meadow, the foundation now raises and distributes about $2 million a year in the Yakima community to healthcare services. It gives me a good feeling to know that I was involved in kind of key event that spurred its creation, and it's grown to be this wonderful thing. It's important that you make a plan for your own money, because if you don't make a plan for your money, somebody else is going to decide what happens to your money. If you want to make sure that your money goes where you want it to go, do a will.